titled Best Two-Sentence Horror Story. Story 1. The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt upright, relieved it was only a dream, but as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open. Story 2. My sister says that Mommy killed her. Mommy says that I don't have a sister. Story 3. I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody on my bed." Story 4. Yesterday, my parents told me I was too old for an imaginary friend and that I had to let her go. They found her body this morning. Story 5. Don't be scared of the monsters, just look for them. Look to your left, to your right, under your bed, behind your dresser, in your closet, but never look up. She hates being seen. Story 6. I can't move, breathe, speak, or hear, and it's so dark all the time. If I knew it would be this lonely, I would have been cremated instead. Story 7. I woke up to hear knocking on glass. At first, I thought it was the window until I heard it come from the mirror again. Story 8. They celebrated the first successful cryogenic freezing. He had no way of letting them know he was still conscious. Story 9. I can't sleep, she whispered, crawling into bed with me. I woke up cold, clutching the dress she was buried in. Story 10. There was a picture in my phone of me sleeping. I live alone. Story 11. Growing up with cats and dogs, I got used to the sounds of scratching at my door while I slept. Now that I live alone, it is much more unsettling. Story 12. You know that weird, full-body twitch you get sometimes when you're falling asleep? If there was a camera pointed at you and you saw what it captured at that moment, you'd never sleep again. Story 13. They delivered the mannequins in bubble wrap. From the main room, I begin to hear popping. Story 14. After struggling desperately to move any part of his paralytic body just to alert the doctors that he was conscious before they made the first incision, he was relieved to see that one of the nurses had noticed his pupils dilating from the bright light. She leaned in close and, in a whisper that tickled his ear, said, "You think we don't know you're awake?" Story 15. Working the night shift alone tonight. There is a face in the cellar staring at the security camera. Story 16. I woke up and everything is feeling wrong. It's too quiet outside. I look out of the window and see everyone standing still, looking at my house. Story 17. It's been watching me for hours now. Sometimes I catch a glimpse of its reflection on the computer screen, but I dare not to turn around. Story 18. The grinning face stared at me from the darkness beyond my bedroom window. I live on the 14th floor. Story 20. They say practicing smiling in front of a mirror makes you feel happier. I wish my reflection would join along. Story 21. Attending his funeral today was really scary. It might have been the constant muffled screams I heard or the worry of someone noticing the dirt on my hand. Story 22. Being buried alive was bad enough. Realizing I wasn't alone in my own grave was worse. Story 23. I was having a pleasant dream when what sounded like hammering woke me. After that, I could barely hear the muffled sound of dirt covering the coffin over my own screams. Story 24. My daughter won't stop crying and screaming in the middle of the night. I visit her grave and ask her to stop, but it doesn't help. Story 25. The lady with the mangled, bleeding face chased you in the staircase up to the building's roof. You jump off, turn your head to the right, and see her falling next to you. This was an actual dream I had. I woke up short of breath. Story 26. I get home and the TV is on one of those stupid found footage shows with a creepy little girl swaying back and forth in the dark, so I hit the power. The TV turns on. Story 27. The doctors told me I would slowly start to lose my hearing from the irreparable damage after the accident that killed my wife. Like the voices of people around me would grow fainter and fainter. They didn't tell me my wife's voice would grow louder and louder as she screamed, "Run! They're coming back for you!" over and over again. Story 28. My wife woke me up last night to tell me there was an intruder in our house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago. Story 29. After working a hard day, I came home to see my girlfriend cradling our child. I didn't know which was more frightening, Seeing my dead girlfriend and stillborn child, or knowing that someone broke into my apartment to place them there. Story 30. I was alone in my house when I was awoken by a noise and reached for my flashlight. It was handed to me.